Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and this is Military Mind. Armed conflicts, defense and security, land, sea and air. We've got you covered. But today, as always, we're taking a closer look at Russian drone and missile attacks on Ukraine's civilian infrastructure. According to Ukrainian authorities, Moscow launched 3 ballistic missiles and 113 strike drones overnight. Hits were recorded in several regions across the country. In Kryvyi Rih, the attack damaged residential buildings, industrial facilities and energy infrastructure. As a result, more than 45,000 households were left without electricity. In response, Ukrainian drones struck the Russian city of Rostov-on-Don. The regional governor reported that 1 person was killed and 4 others wounded. Reported to be in stable condition, all the wounded were sent to a nearby hospital. In the city's western industrial zone, the attack sparked fires across industrial and warehouse facilities. And now, we're moving on to the front line, where on the Kupiansk axis, Ukrainian forces raised their country's flag over the city council building in central Kupiansk. The Second Corps of Ukraine's National Guard released footage showing an assault on a building supported by FPV drones, followed by Ukrainian forces placing a flag atop the building's roof. According to the unit, the flag was installed using a drone. Nevertheless, Ukrainian assault troops are operating confidently near the building, indicated that the area is now under Ukrainian control. Kupiansk remains a zone of intense fighting. Ukrainian units maintain a strong presence in the city center and continue rotating reserves, while Russian forces continue to hold positions on the northeastern outskirts. Meanwhile, the Russian army has advanced in the Sloviansk sector, near the village of Sviatopokrovskie, southwest of Siversk. However, in its January the 12th report, the Institute for the Study of War notes that while Russian forces continue offensive operations towards Sloviansk, no confirmed territorial gains have been recorded. To push further towards Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, Russian troops plan to enter and entrench Liman in the northern part of the Donetsk region. The Liman axis has long been viewed by Moscow as a key staging ground for future assaults on both Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. An unusual situation occurred in the airspace above a combat zone, something that's rarely caught on camera. The moment of a mid-air collision between 2 Ukrainian heavy Baba Yaga drones was recorded by a Russian reconnaissance UAV. The footage shows how, in difficult conditions of electronic warfare and heavy air traffic, the 2 drones inadvertently reduced the safe distance between them. In a matter of seconds, the machines collided and, clutched in deadly embrace, plummeted uncontrollably to their demise. The Baba Yaga is a heavy, multi-purpose drone that is actively used for nighttime strike and logistics missions at low altitudes. Whatever the cause of the crash, the incident has likely caused the loss of between 10 and 15 kilograms of explosive per drone, which is the carrying capacity for this kind of UAV, unless the drones had already completed their bombing run.
Давай, пока скидывает, она не видит. Только не суетись, аккуратненько. Тихо. Да ну!
Near the window of the Administrative Services Center building in Kupiansk, a Ukrainian Defense Forces soldier monitors the city's situation. Streets, intersections and neighborhoods are under constant military supervision. From this position, it's easier to see the approach of possible enemy movement and routes or other potential threats. The building, which previously served administrative functions, has been converted into an observation post. The footage shows that the situation in the city remains tense. Of course, it's a very short clip, but it shows the extent of destruction. This used to be another vibrant city that was destroyed by the Russians. And I certainly do hope that this is rather uncomfortable viewing for Western decision makers, in particular, if they are watching. Because arguably, much of this could have been prevented with more support earlier on. Of course, it's impossible to turn back time, but it's still possible to help Ukraine right here and right now to prevent further destruction. Now, we're moving on to another story. Now, this is something that wouldn't be out of place on the X-Files. A video has surfaced online showing Russian militants practicing mobilizing and constructing tents during harsh weather conditions. According to the author's plan, such camouflage should reduce visibility of personnel in open terrain or perhaps help them out in cold weather. The footage looks rather ambiguous, however. The cumbersome structures limit the fighters' visibility, mobility and stability, especially in strong winds. Not to mention looking a bit like a bunch of extraterrestrials on a day trip to Earth.
Значит, вот сейчас с палатками занимаемся по прохождению, надеванию, сворачиванию. Значит, у нас есть 10 палаток и каждая группа по 5 человек. Соответственно, отправляю туда завтра одну с палатками и еще одну на следующий день с палатками. Сейчас дополнительно проведу занятия, как ее сложить, как ее установить. Одного только получается. Остальных все увозни, блядь. В основном все, блядь, нормально все действует. Долго, правда, ее надевать. И когда надеваешь, ветер ее поднимает. И когда сильный ветер, очень тяжело ходить. Так, в принципе, неплохо. Ходить, блядь, вопрос закрывается тем. Берешь за ребра, в принципе, она нормально идет. А так вот, если сильный ветер, в любом случае начинает перебыхать.
Surely not the type of little green men that Russia used for its infamous Crimea land grab. And believe me, we're going easy on them with our alien comments. Most internet users said the tents are actually pop-up toilet tents, meaning the jokes pretty much write themselves. All right, moving on to the next one. On the night of January the 12th to January the 13th, the forces of Ukraine's unmanned systems units launched a coordinated strike on key enemy targets in the territories temporarily occupied by Russian forces. The 330 kilovolt Myrna substation in Mariupol, a key energy hub that distributes and transmits electricity, including to the Azovska substation, was hit. Now, the Azovska 220 kilovolt substation in the Stary Krim area also came under fire. That substation remains a critical element in supplying energy to the region's industrial facilities, which have been repurposed to serve the interests of the Russian military-industrial complex. In fact, Mariupol blacked out that night, greatly affecting the Russian military and industrial infrastructure. At the same time, in Makiivka, a warehouse of rocket and artillery weapons belonging to the Russian Federation's 51st Army was successfully struck off the target list after being attacked, as was a technical deployment point of Russian troops located on the premises of an oil depot. And with this, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.